that are equitable and serve all Californians. Prior to her appointment, she served as the director of the Bay Area District 4, and she was the first woman who ever held that position. We are excited at the opportunity to work alongside her on this very important priority for the governor, broadband for all. Welcome, Dina. All right, the next order of business is roll call. Ms. Alvarado, if you'd please call roll. Ms. Alvarado, the mic is not working.
Attendees, please note there is a time allocated at the end of the meeting for public comment. Presenters, please cue Christine to advance your slides. And committee members, please use the raise your hand feature on Zoom to cue the chair to call you on to speak. Now committee member roll call. Chair Bailey Crimmins.
Here.
Secretary Madoros.
Here.
President Reynolds.
Michael Mullaney for President Reynolds.
Chief Deputy Director Peralt.
Teresa Calvert for Chief Deputy Peralt.
Director Dina Altawanzi. Senator Gonzalez. Senator Caballero. Assemblymember Berner.
Here.
Assemblymember Aguari Curry.
Loyal Terror here on behalf of the Assemblywoman.
Supervisor Alejo.
Present.
Supervisor Starkey.
Here.
Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Alvarado. Before we get started, I always like to give an opportunity for any committee members who want to make any comments before we get started with the formal presentation. So I'd like to open it up to any members. I don't see any in the room, any online. I do not. Okay, we will go ahead and get started. The first is the executive report out from Mr. Mark Monroe.
Good morning, Chair and members. Mark Monroe, Deputy Director for the Middle Mile Broadband Initiative here at CDT. Welcome to the last quarterly MMAC meeting of the year. We appreciate the opportunity to provide another update this morning on the progress of CDT and its partners. If we can go to the next slide. CDT and its partners continue to make progress on the network. Of the more than 8,000 miles, 4,351 miles have already gone to construction to date. Of these, almost 3,000 miles have been completed. So just as a reminder, I want to note that the progress relative to miles is in reference to fiber installation. It includes conduit, fiber, and the pull vaults or pull boxes that we have located every half mile. This is significant progress since the construction work is the most costly and the most time-intensive part of the project, but it isn't the only part. In order for the network to actually function, we need to complete the hubs, which include a hut, electronics, a utility connection, and a backup generator and separate fuel tank. The hub is centered around the electronics, which carry the signal along the network. So obviously, until the hubs are complete, we won't be ready to start serving communities. But the installation of these miles is still the bulk of the work, and we are now about 54% done with this piece. Let's see, and regarding the hubs, in the last few weeks, we have also completed our first 11 hubs along Digital 395 in the Eastern Sierras. These hubs will provide the first broadband service on the state's network. And I'll talk a little more about this during my project update, but that ends my executive report out.
Thank you, Mr. Monroe. Do any members have any questions for Mr. Monroe for his executive? All right. See none, we'll go ahead and go to the California Department of Technology's update. We have 4 presenters, Mr. Mark Monroe, Mr. Matt Rantanen of the Southern California Tribal Chairmen's Association. We have Mackenzie Shea, who is going to be reporting for Shannon, and then Ms. Parissa Solitani, who will be breaking between each of the presentations to make sure that we give opportunities for all members to be able to ask questions. So if you please begin, Mr. Mark Monroe.
All right. As previously mentioned, these first 11 hubs along Digital 395 will support the 423-mile segment we purchased from the California Broadband Collective in the past year. Starting first quarter of 2026, CDT will begin providing service along this route as part of the state's network. This will actually be the first operational segment of the MMBI network. And in a few minutes, Mr. Matt Rantanen will be joining us to talk about how this will benefit the tribes along this route. We have also just released our RFP for an operator. As I hope many of you are tracking, a number of the CPUC's FFA grant awardees will be connecting to the MMBI network. CDT is working with these awardees to coordinate where and how to connect. And we are also working with the awardees as they refine their estimated completion dates to determine when they will need to connect to the state's middle mile network. Some plan to be ready to connect as early as July of 2026. So we are working to have the necessary segments of the network completed and operational in time to serve these communities. To do this, we will need an operator on board. So if we go to the next slide. When we talk about the operator, this will be the entity that is really operating and maintaining the network for us. They'll be monitoring the network 24/7. They'll be managing the network engineering, connection of customers, and customer service. They'll be tasked with maintaining the electronics and making any repairs to the network that are needed. And so up here, we can kind of see the schedule we have in mind. It's the RFP's just been released. Bids and proposals will be received in December of this year. And then by April of next year, we plan to have selected an operator. We'll need to start onboarding them immediately in May and June so that they will be ready to start to provide service by July of next year to the FFA grant awardees. And I'll just note that in the meantime, as we're going through this process, we're going to continue the fiber sales and marketing effort that we currently have going on with GSN, and they'll be talking a bit more about that later. Next slide. All right. So as we've noted in the past, partnerships have been really key to this project. In one form or the other, they're accounting for about 95% of the network. In the past, we've talked about Gateway Cities and Fort Bragg and the partnership we have with those. And just an important update to that is that we've expanded our contract with American Dark Fiber to do the construction on both of those projects since we last met. In terms of government to government, we have in the past talked about several of the negotiations we've had ongoing with several California tribes. And so we have finalized, since we last met, an agreement with the Tolowa Ni Nation up in the northwestern corner of the state for an IRU lease agreement leading into Crescent City. We've also finalized an agreement with the Coyote Valley Band of Pomo Indians for a lease on tribal land there for the replacement of one of these hubs. And we continue to be in negotiations for similar arrangements with 3 other tribes. If you want to go to the next slide. All right. Yeah, and so next I think we're going to go to Matt Rantanen, who from the Tribal Chairmen's Association. Also, he handles serves as our tribal liaison for GSN, and so he's going to talk a little more about what the Digital 395 service is going to mean to the tribes there. So with that, I'll turn it over to Matt. Unless, Chair, we wanted to have questions first.
We'll go ahead, and Matt, go ahead, and then we'll do questions right after you.
Okay, thank you. As mentioned, yes, I do come from the Southern California Tribal Chairmen's Association. I've been with them for 24 years, but I am actively working, 40 hours a week with Golden State Net as the tribal liaison for this project, for working with CDT, coming from the scenic side of things. It's been a wonderful opportunity so far, and I think I get to share one of the coolest things today. So can I go to the next slide, please? So Digital 395 is an acquisition by CDT. It was purchased. It's a route that was built with other dollars and was in a situation to be better serving California if it was sold to the state of California to be part of this project. And as I think Mark already alluded to, the 11 huts or hub locations along that route have been completed, and team is putting things in place. So this will likely be one of the first places to light the network. So it will hopefully light early in relation to our deadline of the end of 2026 and bring an opportunity to the tribes along the route and other customers along the route of the Digital 395. And specifically, we've been working with the Bishop Paiute tribe. We have a longstanding relationship with them, and they are very eager to be a part of this opportunity. They are adjacent to the route. They are working together with their consultants to align their infrastructure to the middle mile broadband network itself, and are far along in their process, which will really make an easy transition to switch over to the middle mile broadband network. This really accelerates the timeline for the tribe to be able to provide services to their community, right? So they have a previous connection from the previous owner of that network. It is at a limited capacity, and this will scale them to the point where they are able to serve customers, their tribal homes, expand their economic development process, and really be able to grasp the online aspect of the growth of their future. Working with their technology director, he's extremely excited to be able to implement this and get things moving ahead of schedule for their plans. So it's a great win for the tribe. It's a really great win for the state, and we're working with the other tribes along that route to try to align them on that same process as well. I don't know if there's another slide. Can we go to the next one? Nope. So with that said, I mean, the economic development that is happening, the access to the resources needed for these tribes throughout the state of California is imperative. So as the network comes online, as sections get lit, we'll be working for more solutions like this to be able to align with the tribes that are building out FFA grants, that are building out with their own funding, Tribal Broadband Connectivity Program funding from NTIA, et cetera. So look forward to more solutions like this in the near future. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Matt Rantanen. That is exciting that we are looking at early quarter of 2026 to have our first segment. Digital 395 is 400 miles. It is wonderful that it is being lit up, and then to be able to serve the tribes is even more of an exciting opportunity. So thank you for your leadership on this. I do see that Assemblymember Berner has her hand up. So Ms. Berner, if you'd like to ask a few questions.
Let's see if we can get technology working. Thank you so much. Most of these questions are for Mark, so I want to ask about the requirement for the operator to be a California-based nonprofit. Will that also apply to the operator RFP? Right, we had the third part, so with the third-party administrator, they're required to be a California-based nonprofit. Will the operator and the RFP also have that same requirement?
No, thank you. That's an important point of clarification. The SB 156 requires CDT to use a California-based nonprofit as the third-party administrator. And so that has been, Golden State Net has been serving that function as we've developed the network. SB 156 assigns the function of that is helping to manage operation of the network, which can be separate from actual operation of the network. So, and our plan going forward, we would continue to have a third-party administrator operating or helping to manage operation of the network. But in terms of the RFP, that is strictly for an operator. It'll be a contract between CDT and the entity to actually operate the network. And so it would, in terms of operating the network, it still needs to meet all the requirements of SB 156, but the operator does not have the same requirement that the TPA has relative to being a California-based nonprofit.
I'm not sure that was the intent of the legislature, so we could go back and maybe offline revisit that. Um, and could you walk me through the bureaucracy of this? Because it seems like we're adding levels upon levels of management, which maybe you could walk me through how you think that's going to increase efficiency rather than just increasing costs.
Well, sure. So first of all, there's going to be certain functions that, there'll be functions that the TPA serves, there will be functions that the operator serves, and functions that the CDT serves. As noted, SB 156 does require us to have and to use a TPA for, and so the TPA will be helping to manage and help CDT exercise oversight over operations of the network, as well as serving to help as a tribal liaison, helping with future construction, and coordinating with the last mile activity. In terms of the operator is really about providing that service and operating the network, right? So they're going to operate the network operating center, the NOC. They'll be managing the service desk, the provisioning, reporting, billing, et cetera. And so part of the function of the TPA is really to help oversee the operator and ensure that they are providing the service that CDT is contracting with them to provide.
And why can't CDT do that? Like, it seems like it was probably the intent of the legislature to have the TPA be the operator, because that's too much for CDT. But what you're ascribing to the TPA are all things that a state agency can provide. So what are they, other than just sticking to the letter of SB 156? I'm concerned about this like 3-layer thing where you have CDT, you have the TPA, and then you have the operator. And I think we all thought the TPA was going to be the operator. And now you've decided to say, well, they're going to manage, because that's the letter of 156. So we're going to have a different operator that may not be from California, may not be a nonprofit, and they're going to be the operator. And now TPA is going to do what I think the job of the CDT was. So can you walk me through that?
Yeah, in terms of when we look at management of operations, arguably, I think your point is that one entity could serve both purposes. And I think broadly speaking, as CDT moves forward trying to manage this network, we want to make sure that we're getting really the best deal for the state, right? We want to make sure we're getting the best service for the best price, so that going forward, we have a sustainable budget, and ideally, as this network is up and running, we're able to have funding to expand the network in the future. So in doing that, we wanted to get as much competition for the operator as possible. And so we went out with an RFP previously to kind of combine both of the functions, the operator and the management of operations. We didn't get enough bids on that. We just didn't get what we were looking for, didn't get enough of that. So we canceled that RFP, and we have kind of bifurcated it. But I don't know that, when you look at the function of managing both development and operation of the network, the TPA has been, very instrumental in helping to manage development of the network. But again, managing, there's a lot that goes into developing, and they're helping to manage development of it. And now as we move to operations, they would be helping to manage operation of the network as opposed to actually operating it themselves.
Mr. Monroe, maybe just, I want to just chime in just for a second. So an operator is someone that has 24/7, 365. They have trucks going up and down 8,000 miles of the network. So maybe, again, the operator is what we would typically put out to bid for any type of technology support long-term. And then managing that operator from a accountability back to accounts receivable. And I just want to make sure that from Assemblymember Berner, you're following kind of what, there really is 3 levels of complexity. This is the largest 8,000-mile network in the nation. So I just want to make sure you're
I'm
separating
understanding the
the 3
complexity.
distinct roles.
Yeah, I think I understand that, but thank you for clarifying. I do understand that. I just don't think it was our intent to not have the requirements on the third-party administrator on the operator. I think it was our intent to say it's a California-based nonprofit, and that would, I'm not sure it was the intent of 156 to separate out those roles the way you have now conceived of it. And I'm not, maybe Golden State Connect can, or Golden State Net could chime in on what they see as. I'm worried about taxpayer money. What I'm seeing is the state's role of an agency to manage and have accountability over the operations is something that a state agency typically has. Even if it's the largest one, they typically have that. So we went out for a third-party administrator. I think it was probably people's thought was they would be also the operator. Now, if that's no longer the most efficient form, that's fine. But we've taken away this requirement for it to be California-based, and we've taken away the requirement for the operator to be a nonprofit. And was what I heard. So maybe GSN can chime in on what they think their role is and why taxpayer money should be going to that.
Eric, did you want to go ahead and address that?
Sure. There's a number of elements in running a network that need to be managed closely by the state to protect the state's assets. For example, tracking that information related to where the fiber is, how it's connected, what it's used for. If some of those elements are not closely managed by the third-party administrator, then the state would probably not get the best and full, robust connectivity and capabilities of the network. Another example is actually sustainability around selling the network. Any particular operator, commercial operator, as you noted, for-profit entity, would selfishly sell on the network for their purposes, not for the state purposes. And so we've structured in the last 2 years programmatically things that are targeting protecting this network for the purposes of SB 156. A good example of that is mid-span interconnects. Traditionally, commercial carriers do not want to do mid-span interconnects because it's perceived to lessen the express routes between very distant points on the network. But SB 156 clearly says that the network needs to be available for all communities. And so our policy that we instituted day one was to allow that connection so that any entity can connect at any time, today, tomorrow, 10 years from now. Those kinds of policies are not common in a commercial for-profit environment. So we've established that for the state and locked that in as a policy. But commercial entities typically don't have that sort of mindset to open up the network in that way. So we're here to protect the mission of SB 156 and the goals set by the state according to broadband needs. And I will say our team is comprised of I'll call them commercial refugees, right? So we know how folks operate on the other side for the for-profit world. I've spent 35 years in the for-profit world. Now I want to make, a difference in the non-profit environment and help the state accomplish their goals. And our team of 18 folks, we have a number of folks that have multiple decades from the commercial world, so we can call out those partnerships and make sure that they operate smoothly for the state.
Thank you, Eric. Any other questions, Assemblymember Burner, on this item?
I have a question, but it's about budget authorization. Is now the best place that I should ask that, or is there another better place today?
Can we get through the other presentations for CDT, and then we can get to that particular segment, if that's okay?
That's fine.
Thank you for your questions. Are there any other questions from any of the members, either in the room, at the dais, or online? I do not see any, but I do want to recognize two delegates that have come in. We have Daniel Banaru for Senator Caballero, and we also have Trevor Taylor for Senator Gonzalez. I just want to recognize them. Thank you very much for joining. We're going to go ahead and go to the next item, which is, I guess it's not Mr. Martin Guzman, it is Mackenzie Shea. If you would please go ahead and provide a quick update.
Yes, thank you, Director. My name is Mackenzie Shea, and I'm the Regional Business Manager at MMBI, and I will be sharing some exciting updates since our last MMAC in July. Next slide. As Mark mentioned earlier, we currently have over 4,350 miles in installation as of late September. Within these miles in installation, 2,964 miles of them have fiber installed in the ground. That means over a third of our total network is construction complete at this time. The table on the slide also breaks down the distribution of miles on Caltrans right-of-way and off Caltrans right-of-way. As you can see, the 8,000 miles are spread evenly between the two, with approximately 4,000 miles on both. About 37% of the Caltrans miles are permitted and 24% constructed, while 82% of the off Caltrans right-of-way miles are permitted and 50% complete. Overall, almost 60% of the network is permitted at this time. In the next slides, I'll provide an update on each of our joint build and lease partners, as well as an update on our hubs and the recent impacts to the program that stem from the federal government shutdown. Next slide. The first MMBI partner I want to highlight is American Dark Fiber, who currently has 901 assigned MMBI miles, as highlighted in the pink on the map. They are currently in the pre-construction phase on 411 miles, active construction on 456 miles, and have completed 34 miles. Next slide. Arcadian is on the tail end of design and engineering, which includes all of the environmental work needed to clear the way for construction. Arcadian has received permits for 103 miles and has constructed 20 miles thus far. Of the 1,000 signed miles, 881 are still in pre-construction, but they are expecting to receive more permits in the upcoming weeks. They are scheduled to complete all construction by December 2026. Next slide. Zayo is a joint build partner that is nearing completion on all 194 assigned miles in the northeast section of the state, mostly along State Route 395. As shown on the slide, they completed construction on 168 miles of the 194. They had 26 miles of fiber pole left as of end of September, but a big update that we just received is that this 26 miles of fiber pole is now complete, and they're working on splicing and fiber testing. The remaining work is forecast to be done by November 2025. Next slide. Our next partner, Lumen, is responsible for almost 1,900 miles of the network with both joint build and leased components throughout the state. Lumen primarily has existing conduits in the ground in railroad right-of-way, which was key to getting a jump start on construction and having over 1,400 miles installed as of today. Lumen is making great progress and is scheduled to have all network miles installed by September of 2026. Next slide. Hoopa Valley Public Utilities District is a joint build tribal partner who's responsible for a 23-mile route in Humboldt County along State Route 96. Hoopa Valley is making great progress, having completed all pre-construction and has installed approximately 5 of the 23 miles along the route. Construction is forecasted to wrap up by November of 2026. Next slide. The Yurok Telecommunications Corporation is another tribal partner within the program and serves the Yurok tribe. This partnership consists of 50 miles of leased fiber for 2 unique routes, 48 miles from Oric to Crescent City and about 2 miles on State Route 96 that is a bridge between the Karuk and Hoopa Valley tribes. Ytel is currently performing pre-construction on 20 miles, active construction on 27 miles, and have completed 3 miles to date. All miles are forecasted to be complete by November 2026. SisQtel is responsible for installation of 163 miles in Siskiyou County. SisQtel is wrapping up pre-construction on 89 of those miles and is in active construction on 61 of the miles where they were able to leverage existing conduits. In addition to the 61 miles in construction, SisQtel has also completed 13 miles of construction. They are forecasting to have the remaining miles permitted by December of this year and are forecasted to finish construction on all 163 miles by December 2026. Vero is a joint build partner with 26 miles in Humboldt County along the Northern California coast. Vero is in pre-construction on a 2-mile bridge segment that crosses the Arcata Bay. A 10-mile segment along the east side of the Arcata Bay is complete, with another 14 miles completed near Trinidad. The remaining miles are forecast to be complete by June 2026. CVIN is our largest partner with over 2,600 miles leased throughout the state, as seen in blue on the map. CVIN is in the pre-construction phase on a little over 1,600 network miles, which includes obtaining all applicable environmental and permitting clearances. CVIN has completed 437 miles of construction and is in active construction on another 607 miles. All miles are forecast to be complete by December 2026. Karuk is another tribal joint build partner in the program who will be constructing 2 essential segments totaling 45 miles in Humboldt County. 15 miles are in the pre-construction phase, with 30 miles permitted ready for construction to kick off January of 2026. All miles are forecasted to be complete by December 2026. The Gateway Cities partnership consists of 74 network miles traversing through 24 cities in Los Angeles County. This section of the network is currently in pre-construction phase on 72 network miles, with 2 miles in active construction in the cities of Compton and Carson that started just last month. All construction is forecasted to be completed by December 2026. The City of LA Bureau street lighting agreement is for a 13-mile segment in Los Angeles along the 110 on local roads. 1 mile is wrapping up pre-construction with 11 miles permitted and 0 miles officially completed with fiber. We do have 3 miles of conduit placed at this time, but fiber has yet to be pulled. All work is forecasted to be completed by December of 2026. Next slide. The City of Fort Bragg is a joint build partnership for a 4-mile stretch on Highway 1 through the middle of the city. This is a partnership where the last mile project aligned with the middle mile, and we had the opportunity to share a trench and construction cost along with the added benefit of minimizing traffic impacts to the community. All pre-construction has been completed, with construction planned to kick off next month. This segment is planned to be completed by January 2026. The Tolowa Dene Nation tribe is our newly signed tribal partner, with their contract being executed at the end of August of this year. The Tolowa Dene Nation will be constructing a 19-mile segment along Highway 101 in Crescent City that runs to the Oregon border. They're in the pre-construction phase for all 19 miles, with construction forecasted to start March 2026, and the route being completed September 2026. Three miles in all huts. The network was just in October of 2024, but some ready for services. MMA, all these have along State Route 299 as shown on the map. All 171 miles have been installed at this date and is considered complete since May. In order to be ready to connect along this route, we still need 3 hubs to be installed along 299 with electronics, which will be completed in 2026. In June of this year, Bolden completed the construction of all contracted segments totaling over 81 miles. Similar to TPN 299, in order to enable services, hubs and electronics will need to be installed along these routes. Next slide. All right, so over the last 20 or so slides, I've been providing updates on the 8,000 plus miles of fiber in our network, but now I want to provide an update on another critical piece of the network, the hubs. MNBN has a total of 139 hubs for the entire network. These hubs are strategically placed every 50 miles and will be needed to operate the network. As mentioned earlier, 11 hubs were procured as part of the Digital 395 transaction with remediation addressed this year. Electronics have been installed in all 11 sites. The image on the right is a photo inside one of our Digital 395 huts with the electronics installed in our racks. As you can see in the photo, there's a lot of detailed work that is involved in this, from installing routers and other electronics, as well as PDUs, running power cabling, and fiber jumpers. This is eventually what all 139 hubs will look like inside. In addition to the Digital 395 hubs, we will be breaking ground on our first MNBI constructed hub in the next couple of weeks, with 17 more to follow before the end of the year. Next slide. As we all know, on October 1st of this year, the federal government shut down, leaving almost 700 miles of federal permits at risk. However, due to the presence of executed funding agreements, we have been able to work at some capacity with some of the bureaus, including Bureau of Land Management, the Federal Highways Administration, and the NTIA, which has remained in full operations. We will continue to work with the bureaus that we can to get these federal permits through the finish line and continue to closely monitor the situation with the shutdown. With that, that concludes my updates on the network.
Sorry. I was having technical difficulties with getting off mic. Ms. Shea, thank you very much for the progress, significant, obviously happening across the entire state. Is there any questions from any members on the progress that was reported by Ms. Shea? Yes, Supervisor Alejo.
Thank you for these quarterly reports that we get. Good progress being made, but I had this question in our staff briefing with Mark Monroe as well. We've completed 30% of the fiber installation so far. So my question was just, are we on track to meet our timelines to have most of this work completed by the end of next year, right? That was our original timeline. And we still got 63% of work to do there on the hubs that was just reported on. We got 11 out of 139, so we're like at 8%. And if we complete the 18 additional hubs in Q4 of this year, will get us to 21%, but we still got another 80% to go. So if we could just get kind of our assessment of, are we on track to meet our timelines, or are we going to go beyond beyond that timeline at this pace of progress?
Yeah, thank you, Supervisor. Yes, we are still targeting the December 2026 deadline. As has been noted, we always expected these last 2 years this was going to be the years of construction, and so we've been really focused on on getting the fiber installed, and so we're starting to roll out. We're going to see most or all of the huts starting and completing construction in the next 2 to 3 quarters, but we expect to have them all installed with the electronics functional by the end of December.
Great. And then on the remaining 63% of fiber installation, we're pretty confident we're going to get that much done in the next 5 quarters.
Yes, we are continuing to our teams and our partners with Caltrans, with our other RFI Squared partners, are meeting on a daily basis, trying to make sure that our partners understand fully the process for getting the permits in, and for how that's submitted. There's been a lot of upfront work that's been done in the last 6 months, in particular, as Caltrans helps to explain. They can talk more about kind of their progress in terms of helping to explain. But yes, we're continuing to work towards that time frame. It's aggressive, and this has always been from day one. This has been an aggressive project, and our partners have continued to step up and work towards that deadline.
Right. I look forward to seeing how much more we can get in this next quarter done. So when we meet again in January, hopefully we've got further along and we could show some more significant progress towards meeting these goals. So thank you for that update and your assessment. Thanks.
Thank you, Supervisor. Assemblymember Berner.
Yes, thank you. And building on Supervisor Alejo's question, I actually wanted to ask about the current state of budget authorization. I know we moved it from the FFA fund to state funding. My understanding is that state funding still requires that all the projects be constructed, all monies expended by December 2026. Is that your current understanding?
No, not exactly. So the original, as you note correctly, that the original federal funding was to be encumbered under contract by the end of 2024, with the project completed by the end of 2026. The general fund that is authority that's been provided in its place, the funds have to be under contract by the end of 2026, and the project has to be completed by the end of 2028. So we don't think the budget, the budget's going to be a limiting factor on it. But again, our goal is still to complete the network by the end of 2026 per the original schedule.
Yeah. To Supervisor Alejo's thing, it's great. I do appreciate that it was always an ambitious project, and I do appreciate that it's also you're going to stick to the original deadlines, because just because you can push it out to 2028 doesn't mean we should, and because there have been delays is an excuse for further delays, right? And so I would appreciate it being stuck, that we stick to the original deadlines and really show us how that we're going to get there, so we could go back to whatever groups we're all in and say with confidence we're going to meet that. Because with where we are now, I can't go back to my colleagues and say with confidence that we're going to meet these deadlines. And I love that you have that confidence, and I would love to have slides that show that confidence as we move forward. So I appreciate that, and I will be watching that in the budget as well. And the other thing is I like to go back to is I'm still trying to wrap my head around the TPA GSN scenario, because I don't think that was never envisioned in 156. So how can the TPA and the GSN hold the network operator accountable if there's no direct legal or fiscal relationship between them? Do you have workflow diagrams or other similar documents you can share to show how this actual structure would work?
Yes, so the contract is between the operator and will be between the operator and CDT. The TPA, GSN will help, will be providing a direction and helping CDT in its efforts. It's going to be providing a level of oversight on behalf of CDT, but really through CDT.
So just like on an org chart, there is CDT operator, CDT TPA. You can see how from the outside that makes little sense for that, because CDT could choose to listen to the TPA or not. Right? So normally you would have CDT TPA operator, because if they're managing, they're directly giving direction. But what you're asking for them to do is the TPA to give direction to the CDT, CDT then give direction to the operator. CDT could or could not follow that direction, and then it looks like a waste of taxpayer money. Could look like a waste of taxpayer money. Do you see what I'm saying? Maybe you could put together some flowcharts how you think actual management of an entity through another entity is supposed to be effective.
Assemblymember Bernard, would it be helpful maybe to bring that back to our next MMAC? It sounds like that's a request from you, is to have more understanding of that relationship.
Yeah, I think we all should make that very public because this is a very unique structure. I see the point of operator, in your minds, operator is intended to do something very different than a TPA, but putting the CDT in the middle could increase accountability or could be a waste of money. So if you can put that in, if there's no legal connection between the TPA and the operator, how are they supposed to manage it? That like coming from corporate, that makes no sense. That's like giving me an employee somewhere else and I'm supposed to manage them, but they're only accountable to a different division. And you're like, oh yeah, everybody's gonna get along. And we know people don't get along, right? So that would be helpful. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, the state does a lot of multi-prong contracts, and it's something that we do fairly well, but we can definitely bring that back to show you how that relationship and where the accountability is. And I agree, transparency is a positive thing, so we would be happy to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other questions for Ms. Shea? Ms. Shea, I do have one question for you before we go to the communications part of the slides. These hubs are very critical. I mean, fiber is obviously in the ground, but so are these hubs. They have all the electronics, power, every 50 miles. You know, that's really where the network, that's what allows people to get to the internet. Is there any specific security protocols or things that you're doing to make sure that they are as protected as possible from any potential threat actors out there? Because this is going to become a critical piece of infrastructure for many communities. So just didn't know if you had any insight to that, or if maybe that's something we could bring back to this committee as well.
Yes, so we do plan on having security measures in place for these hubs, including cameras installed that our operator will be able to monitor, alarms throughout there too. So if a door is opened without authorization through the knock, then that could also set off an alert to the operator as well. So there are a series of protections in place for the security of these hubs.
And so as we're thinking of this operator, this is again a 24/7 operations, potentially hundreds of people, trucks, network operations, watching every flag, every bump in the night that would potentially create someone to go on site to address that and ensure those communities are lit up. So it sounds like this operator is going to have a big responsibility.
Yes, exactly.
Great, thank you. All right, we're going to go ahead and go over to Ms. Soltani, and she's going to give a communications update.
Good morning. My name is Parisa Soltani, Public Information Officer at the California Department of Technology. I'm pleased to share an update on stakeholder engagement since our last MMAC and a brief summary of this year's meetings. To start, I want to take a quick look at our communication and stakeholder relations mechanism. It is a two-way relationship. We share information and we listen and respond. The MMBI page on CDT's website is our main hub for information, offering everything from high-level summaries to detailed project data. The monthly fact sheet gives a one-glance view of overall progress and pace of the project, while the What's New section goes deeper, highlighting new partnerships, milestone events, and construction activity every month. We also maintain a county-by-county tracker and an interactive map with multiple layers for a much more detailed view of the entire project. On the listening and responding side, while MMAC meetings provide formal updates and committee dialogue, they don't allow for two-way discussion because of Bagley-Keene rules. Recognizing that gap with your support, we launched quarterly stakeholder meetings to foster open dialogue and feedback. Next slide, please. Stakeholder engagement meetings are held following each MMAC. Agendas go out in advance, and we take questions both by email ahead of time and also live during the meeting. At the end of each session, we send out a survey to evaluate the meeting. On this slide, you can see all the meetings that took place in 2025, with the last one coming up at the end of this month. Next slide, please. Our most recent meeting was on August 1st. We invited 107 participants, 49 registered, 44 attended, and 10 responded to our evaluation. We would love to receive more, as these evaluations is what we analyze and focus on to inform and guide our form and content as we move forward with the meetings. Next slide, please. When asked whether the meetings are valuable, almost everyone said yes. So we find that these meetings continue to be an important touch point for stakeholders. Next slide, please. When asked whether or not we should continue the meetings, also the answer was yes, with a couple of conditional yeses, and their ask had to do with the ability to enable their camera so that they could see each other, and also the ability to chat among each other during the meeting. So we've incorporated those into the format of our meeting. Next slide, please. We asked, what can we do differently? Suggestions for improvements centered on more detail, particularly on construction, permitting, and performance metrics, and a more open dialogue. We've adjusted the meeting format to support that as well. Next slide. When asked about future topics, pricing continues to lead. Stakeholders also want more visibility into permitting, construction schedules, and operations. Those areas are already being built into our upcoming meetings. Next slide, please. And of course, our work doesn't stop at our virtual meetings. This quarter, we've joined partners at milestone events across the state from north to south. In Samoa, with Vero Networks, in Klamath, with Whitetail and the Yurok tribe, in Humboldt County, with the Hoopa Valley tribe and their Public Utilities District, and in Southern California, with the Gateway Cities Council of Governments and the LA Bureau of Street Lighting. At each of these events, spending time with our community advocates, the construction workers, the passionate and dedicated city council members and other city officials, local business owners who are just curious and excited about how this will change their everyday existence, educators and others, we were reminded over and over of the power of community. To share a glimpse of that experience and to close my presentation, I would like to invite you all to watch a 5-minute video, and of course, I'd be happy to take any comments or questions after that. Thank you.
From the redwood forests to rural valleys to densely populated urban areas, the California Middle Mile Broadband Initiative is forging ahead, expanding partnerships, breaking ground on existing ones, installing Hudson Electronics, all with one goal: to close the digital divide in California. In Northern California, the California Department of Technology and the Yurok tribe are working together to bring high-capacity fiber to some of the most remote communities in the state.
This project means technology, having access to technology, to fiber, having it come from Oric, which is located in our Yurok Ancestral Territory, going all the way to Crescent City, and also coming into Klamath through the Glen, Requa, and the outreach here in Klamath. It's huge for us. To bring modern technology to the reservation in our community.
Nearby in Hoopa Valley, we joined local, state, and tribal leaders to celebrate a groundbreaking event. Here, the Hoopa Valley Public Utilities District is partnering to build 23 miles of tribally owned broadband fiber that will be leased to the Middle Mile Broadband Network.
I would like to say that coming from a tribal woman, a tribal leader within my community, I am just really proud to be part of this project. I appreciate the state's willingness and bravery to put tribal sovereignty and put the tribe at the forefront for decision making, allowing us to be, a sound partner, to have a seat at the table, be part of the state's build out, and be a part of long-term connectivity moving forward.
This partnership with the Hoopa Valley Tribe was the first tribal-state Middle Mile agreement and has become a model for more than 10 additional partnerships across the state. In Humboldt County with Vero Networks, we marked the start of 24 new miles of open-access Middle Mile fiber, stretching from McKinleyville through Arcata to Eureka. This corridor connects directly into the statewide backbone and into Vero's last mile build, funded in partnership with the California Public Utilities Commission, creating an end-to-end open access network.
For me, bridging the digital divide is really important from a business perspective because it brings more knowledge, more diversity, and different kind of people into the workspace.
Through this public-private partnership, the Department of Technology and Vero Networks are delivering roughly 3 times the mileage the state could build alone. Proof that partnership multiplies impact. Closing the digital divide is not only a rural challenge. In Southern California, we partnered with the Gateway Cities Council of Governments to bring broadband to some of the most densely populated areas of the state.
There was a lot of collaboration and back and forth with CDT, and so we added some more aerial coverage. We made some adjustments to the routes. If they zigzagged, we made them straighter, those kinds of things in our plan. That was the key. That good faith dialogue resulted in a finalized project.
Good things are definitely happening in the city of Compton, and I am truly excited about it.
A model of flexibility and partnership, the Gateway Cities Council of Governments is not the only one unlocking broadband opportunities for millions in Southern California. The Department of Technology is also working with the Los Angeles Bureau of Street Lighting to build out fiber along the city's existing infrastructure. By using creative approaches like this, the Middle Mile network can move faster and more efficiently in urban neighborhoods where affordability and connectivity have lagged.
This is the urban core of Los Angeles, right? Very complicated place to start doing any type of project. And so even though it was desired by the community, it ended up being cost prohibitive. And some of the things that I think CDT was seeing at the moment, right, was project costs that were estimated to be $1 million to $1.5 million, right, per mile. We are actually estimated to be around 500 to 600, so 40 to 50% of the cost from some of the methods that we're using. It made for just kind of like a wonderful partnership that ended up melding together.
Well, as we saw in the past when we had the pandemic, a lot of kids were sent home and didn't have Wi-Fi, so this would bring Wi-Fi to the communities and people who have low-income families. I was born in East LA at the General Hospital, though, and I take a lot of pride in, doing a good job for the community and giving back as much as you can.
Meanwhile, along the Digital 395 corridor from Barstow to the California border near Reno, we have just completed the electronic configuration. That means when the network operator is on board, internet service providers can connect to the Middle Mile to bring high-speed internet to households, schools, businesses, and public agencies. None of this would be possible without the vision of Governor Gavin Newsom's Broadband for All. The Middle Mile broadband investments will impact the lives of generations to come, ensuring that every Californian, no matter where they live, has a fair chance to thrive in the digital era.
Very inspirational, Ms. Sultani. I know you were very much a part of a lot of those celebrations, so thank you for your partnership, your hard work for the communications and stakeholder relations team. I would like to open it up to any members that have any questions or comments about the CDT or what you just saw on the video. Any online? All right, well, this takes all of us, a community, to make this all happen, so thank you very much, Teresa. Very appreciated. Now we're going to shift over to Caltrans, and we have an update from Elias Karam and Janice Benton. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Bailey Crimmins, committee members, and others from the public. My name is Elias Karam, Assistant Deputy Director for the Middle Mile Broadband Initiative at Caltrans. I appreciate the opportunity to provide an update on the progress Caltrans is making in support of the statewide Middle Mile Broadband network. Before I begin, I would also like to warmly welcome our new Caltrans Director, Dina El-Twanzi, to the committee. We're excited to have her leadership and vision guiding us, and we look forward to the positive impact she will bring to the Middle Mile Advisory Committee and beyond. Next slide, please. Together with Caltrans Maintenance and Operations Deputy Director, we will be providing an update on the progress of two areas of Caltrans responsibility: the Caltrans build and the issuance of encroachment permits for the CDT partner builds. Next slide, please. The first area of focus is the Caltrans build, which includes two key components: the design and construction of 305 miles of the middle mile fiber infrastructure along the state highway right-of-way, and the design of 107 network hubs. Next slide, please. This slide highlights the scope of the Caltrans build, in which we are tasked with delivering 305 miles of middle mile fiber infrastructure. All 305 miles have successfully completed pre-construction activities and are now ready for construction. Breaking that down further, 195 miles are currently under active construction, 7 miles are being explored as DigSmart opportunities, and 103 miles have already been fully constructed, representing 1/3 of Caltrans' total build miles. Currently, we are on track to complete construction for all Caltrans miles by the end of 2026. Next slide, please. In addition to the fiber construction, Caltrans is also responsible for the design of network hubs. As shown on this slide, the current status of the 107 network hubs is as follows. All hubs have completed preliminary design, 91 hubs have completed design and are ready for construction by CDT, and 16 hubs are actively in the design phase and are expected to be complete by April of 2026. Next slide, please. At this time, I'd like to turn the presentation over to my colleague who will provide an update on the status of CDT partner encroachment permits.
All right, thank you, Mr. Karam. So good morning, Chair Bailey Crimmins, committee members, and others from the public. I am Janice Benton. I'm the Deputy Director for our Maintenance and Operations programs in Caltrans. And within my programs, we have the responsibility of issuing the encroachment permits. I'll be providing an update on the status of the encroachment permits today. So next slide, please. To begin, I'd like to provide a high-level summary of encroachment applications Caltrans has received and their status. So next slide, please. Caltrans has received encroachment permit applications for 2,708 miles. In addition, we have received preliminary applications for 682 miles. These submittals include general project details on the county route and anticipated mileage, and have not yet been formally submitted as an encroachment permit application. For the 2,708 miles of submitted applications, Caltrans has issued encroachment permits for 809 miles. This leaves the remaining 1,900 miles actively being worked on by the CDT partners in collaboration with our Caltrans district teams. The numbers presented today are from our Caltrans encroachment permit system, also referred to as CEPS. As we have collaborated with CDT on the partner builds, CDT has indicated that they anticipate 3,337 miles of the middle mile broadband network to be installed along the state highway right-of-way. Next slide. So Caltrans is working with CDT partners on encroachment permit applications for these 2,708 miles of the network. This chart takes the data from the previous slide and shows month by month the movement of the miles through the encroachment permit process since December 2024. As shown in the dark blue, Caltrans districts have issued encroachment permits for 809 miles of the network. Below that, the light blue and yellow sections represent the miles where Caltrans district teams are actively engaging with applicants to review their submitted information. And the light pink section at the base of the chart are the 682 miles with preliminary application information entered into SEPs, as I mentioned in the prior slide. And as you can see, over the past few months, we have seen a decrease in the preliminary permits as CDT partners have made good progress in refining their scope of work and moving toward formal encroachment permit application submittals. Next slide. This slide provides an update on the status of the encroachment permits by CDT partner. As shared on the previous slide, the breakdown of the SEPs data is preliminary applications, those applications being worked on, and the issued permits. I would like to note that the Caltrans encroachment permit system, or SEPs, is currently tracking 3,390 permits, as shown in the bottom left table. While this figure is higher than the anticipated 3,337 miles that CDT anticipates, it does reflect the ongoing process of CDT partners refining their project scopes, which can result in adjustments to the reported miles. Next slide. These charts show the number of encroachment permit applications behind the miles of the previous slides. The Caltrans teams are actively working with the applicants to advance these applications to final encroachment permit issuance. As we review the status of these applications, I'd also like to discuss what this means for forecasting encroachment permit issuance over the next 6 months. So next slide. At the July MMAC, the development of CDT's master schedule was discussed, along with their ongoing coordination with the CDT partners to gather anticipated timelines for submitting the completed components for each of their applications. At a high level, this information helps forecast when encroachment permits will be issued for the segments of the middle mile network being installed on the state highway system. This slide provides a 6-month forecast based on CDT's partners' current projections for their submitted encroachment permit applications. Based on this information, Caltrans is anticipating an influx of completed deliverables in November and December, totaling 1,266 miles, with an additional 585 miles expected in the first quarter of 2026. While this serves as a valuable tool for anticipating encroachment permit activity, it remains an estimate and is subject to adjustments as CDT partners refine their project scopes. The Caltrans districts are aware of the master schedule and prepared to issue permits as soon as completed information is submitted by CDT partners. Our district teams are working daily and weekly with the CDT partners and using this information to drill down into the specifics of each of the deliverables. Additionally, in an effort to manage and set expectations around communications and timelines, Caltrans has made a commitment to respond to the CDT partners within 48 hours with either a decision or a direct reply or a timeline for that response. This commitment to timely responses is reinforced by our ongoing coordination efforts at every level. Since the initial discovery sessions in July, Caltrans and CDT have maintained monthly executive level check-ins. These meetings provide a forum to share successes, best practices, and address any challenges. Beyond these executive monthly meetings, Caltrans, CDT, and the CDT partners maintain regular weekly meetings at both the district and headquarters levels to support ongoing collaboration and progress. Together, the permit forecast and ongoing coordination reflect a shared commitment to transparency, responsiveness, and partnerships. This concludes the Caltrans update. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Karam and Ms. Benton. I will go ahead and open it up to see if anyone has any questions or comments for Caltrans team. Any online? I don't see any. Thank you very much. Great progress. And our next item for today is Golden State Net, the third-party administrator, Eric Hunzinger.
Thank you, Director Bailey Crimmins and committee members. Next slide, please. So Golden State Net is planning and orchestrating the resiliency of the network. One of those elements is tying together all the partnerships that were previously described by Ms. McKenzie. Each of those partnerships represents a 288 count cable or close to that. And so how those get interconnected and tied together for resiliency that the state has prioritized is extremely important, and it has to be documented. Each fiber on the cable is documented. Each connection is documented. In some cases, a cable may go in several different directions to create resiliency. So we've calculated there's about 475 connections to complete across the state and document. So that's an ongoing effort within our organization. Next slide, please. In addition, we have some responsibility for some infrastructure that's not on Caltrans right away. We've been at the point of designing and permitting and collaborating how that ties into the Caltrans routes. So we're working with partners to ensure that there's no gaps on the network. In addition to that, we have responsibility for 21 hubs that are not on the Caltrans right away. And that includes the permitting, ensuring that there's agreements in place with utility companies to power those sites. And in addition to that, air quality permits for backup generators and fuel. So it's a pretty intricate process. So we've negotiated leases with 18 property owners to date, and we're still working on the remaining ones. And that also includes partnerships with tribal nations as well. Next slide. One of the important pieces to the network is sustainability, right? Having connectivity in rural areas probably is not going to produce the revenue stream necessary to make sure that the network is viable. We've been actively promoting the network since the very beginning of the program. But as of late, in the last year, we've managed to drive potential revenue. We have about $230 million of opportunity that we've got on the street. We are aware that 6 commercial entities have started the internal processes to approve funding for purchasing infrastructure on the network. That means that companies are already committing their hard-earned dollars to leverage the state's infrastructure for their commercial purposes. Some of those networks do have the mission of SB 156 at heart, and they plan to serve rural communities along the route. Some of them have more self-interested goals of creating diversity from their current carriers. So it represents a variety of opportunities that carriers want to leverage for their purposes. So with that, that concludes my presentation. If there's any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hunzinger. Are there any questions for Golden State Net? Mr. Hunzinger? Do I see any online? I don't see any, so thank you very much for the update. All right, the next and last set of presentation. We always love hearing from our Public Utility Commission team, and so Maria Ellis.
Hi, good morning. I'm Maria Ellis. I'm the Director of Broadband at for Broadband Initiatives at the California Public Utilities Commission. I'm just going to give a quick update on some of the work that we've been up to. I wish I had as fancy a slide to tell our story, so really well done by CDT partners. Next slide, please. This is just a bird's eye view, snapshot, if you will, of some of the programs we're currently implementing. Not represented here is obviously the local agency technical assistance program, which we already wrapped up and awarded and are made about 109 grants from. But you'll see here, we're starting off with our Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program, which is a federal program administered by the National Telecommunications and Information Administration. I'll talk more about that in a bit. Next up is the California Advanced Services Fund, which is actually an umbrella that has several programs underneath, 6 programs specifically. We're gonna across those programs include everything from infrastructure funding to support for public housing infrastructure to provide free internet to residents. We've got adoption account, we've got tribal technical assistance in here, and of course, they also support our consortia work with the consortias that we fund across the state. Moving on to the Loan Loss Reserve Program. This is not a grant program, unlike most of our other programs. This is a financing tool, and the commission has been working very closely with our grantee, our current awarded grantee, which is Golden State Connect Authority, to work on the third and final resolution that would attach the funding that has already been allocated to them to specific projects awarded under the federal funding account. Lastly, of course, is the federal funding account. And I'll talk a little bit about some of the projects that we've been really happy and thrilled to see start breaking ground and really are well on their way to construction. This, of course, was also part of SB 156, and it's a multi-year funding program that represents a comprehensive one-time investment in implementing broadband for all. We've held 2 rounds of applications, the first one which has already been awarded, and we wrapped up the last award for round 1 in February of this year. And we opened up a round 2 only specifically for those counties that did not receive an award in the first round. That was a total of 6 counties. And we're well on our way to making some recommendations for the commission to consider by the end of the year. Next slide, please. So this highlights some of the exciting infrastructure that's happening and going into the ground as that's been taking place since the last meeting of the MMAC in July. The blue symbols on the California map represent the groundbreaking events for new construction on new projects. There have been several groundbreakings, construction specific to the federal funding account and the Middle Mile jointly. These events have taken place in everywhere from Humboldt all the way down to Fresno Valley in Central California. And then the blue headers that you see here are the grantees whose construction projects were celebrated. These projects include the City of Placerville, which held an event for the Placerville Broadband project in El Dorado County. The City of Chico celebrated a construction of their new city-owned fiber project, which will serve predominantly low-income areas in Butte County. Next, we're pleased to highlight Hoopa Valley Tribe, the Hoopa Valley Tribe's groundbreaking ceremony in Humboldt. I know you all have highlighted that in your great video, which is wonderful. And this project is with the Hoopa Valley Public Utilities District, and the state entered into the first ever tribal state middle mile broadband joint agreement. So we're really pleased to see how both of our agencies have been partnering with this important partner. And again, as one of the recipients said in the video, seeing the state really support tribal sovereignty in this way. And finally, AT&T, they're celebrated their grant in Fresno County, and we're going to actually have a picture of them coming up here soon. And we're always, trying to get out as much as we can. A lot of these projects are well on their way, are either celebrating kind of at the start or towards the end of their project. And we're ready to see more activity. We're expecting a lot more activity coming up soon. Next slide. So didn't want to bore you with too much writing here. So this is just some of the pictures of the events that I've mentioned. At the top photo, you'll see the shovels in the ground getting ready in the city of Placerville with community leaders there to start the construction of the first phase of the city's open access fiber optic broadband project. This is a great project that will serve over 2,000 residents and will benefit 2,000 residents. And when we were there, folks were just really thrilled because they had been sharing some of the horror stories that they had experienced with their current connectivity. And so very thrilled for those community leaders to have this project in their community. The image at the bottom left with the bright yellow vest shows the city of Chico. This is a North Valley Fiber Project groundbreaking ceremony. This is enhancing municipal services and emergency response technology, and will support next generation applications while connecting the community. We've got here, you'll see the Deputy Director for North Valley Fiber, the Mayor of Chico, and of course, Councilmember Katie Howley. The two middle pictures are actually from the county in Fresno project, where the CPUC joined AT&T and the community partners to celebrate their fiber project expansion. That is Commissioner Houck there in the middle, and who spoke at the groundbreaking about the benefits of the 12,000 Californians that will benefit from this project. And we've got Congressman Jim Costa, Supervisor Buddy Mendez, Supervisor Luis Chavez, Supervisor Brian Pacheco, and Jason Hannon, CEO of Boys and Girls Club of Fresno, where we were able to celebrate that. And several other members, so I won't continue to list them all out, but again, it was a really wonderful event and we're thrilled to participate. The final image here is on the far right. You see some familiar faces at the Hoopa Valley Tribes Reservation to celebrate the construction of the nearly 23 miles of high-capacity middle-mile broadband. Next slide. This is my last slide, and I just wanted to give you an update on the BEAD program, the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program. A quick reminder that the NTIA, the National Telecommunications and Information Administration, issued new guidance on June 4th, which significantly shifted the program and made substantive policy changes. And so the CPUC has been working worked really quickly to rework the decision outlining the program to comply with these new requirements and these new policy priorities of the federal administration. We have since then held 2 rounds of what is called the benefit of the bargain, which is part of what was in that restructuring policy notice. And it's a very, it changed how we would look, how the administration, would look at technology and evaluate them on cost. And it was a real driver on trying to deliver technology at the lowest cost. The table there, you'll see, summarizes some of our activities that have happened and what's coming up. What I do want to note here is that our due date for the final proposal, which the final proposal is what we as the state submit to the NTIA, and that outlines all of the proposed subawards that the state would like to make, which of course that final proposal is all subject, including all of the proposed awards, are subject to NTIA approval. That is due to NTIA on November 21st. The commission will be considering that final proposal on November 20th, and we will be posting that for comment. Given that the shifts in the timeline from NTIA, and the reworking that we've had to do, it will be a shorter comment period, but we will be publishing this for folks to comment and review before submission. That's really it. Everything will be approved by final via resolution. You'll be able to see all the grants. And because this program is moving so quickly, we encourage folks to check out the website frequently to see the latest updates. Yes, and we're very excited to get these projects also awarded. The last thing I'll share on this is that NTIA had hoped, as they were getting final proposals, to complete their approvals within 90 days. Given the government shutdown, what we're hearing from other states, and even prior to the government shutdown, what we heard from states is that this is actually slowing down quite a bit, so we don't anticipate having approval of our final proposal probably well into Q1 next year. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Ellis. Obviously, the last mile is very important. It's the closest to the community, so thank you for all your hard work. I do see that Assemblymember Berner would like to ask a few questions.
Yeah, actually, thank you for your presentation, and thank you guys for all your work on the BEAD funding and the reapplication of that. Some of those new requirements were very onerous, to say the least, and appreciate you very much on that. Could you walk through, I saw your slides on the FFA grants. How many of the FFA grants, how many dollars of the FFA grants, or how many FFA grants itself have yet to be awarded? And what is the timeline you're working on to award those?
So in our first round, we awarded 113 grants, which closed in February. Our second round, for 6 counties, we received approximately 72 applications, and our goal at this time is to be able to publish the staff recommendations for comment by the end of the year for vote in the early, the January meeting for consideration before the commission. So those would be for the 6 outstanding counties, so that our goal is to adjudicate all of those.
And when that is done, all FFA funds have been expended?
No. The state has currently been appropriated to date, or the CPUC has been appropriated to date approximately $1.35 billion of the total $2 billion pot, not including state operations or the funds that were used for the local agency technical assistance.
Yeah.
So taking those out, we would have been appropriated about 1.35, and our hope is to finish out the granting of those funds with the second round. There is another $550 million that is yet to be appropriated and is slated for the 2027-28 budget, and that is the $550 million is part of the county allocations that were published, that were part of the allocations in the decision for each county. So our goal is to go back, and once we receive that appropriation, continue to do grant making that would support finishing out those allocations.
So that was a very elegant answer too. All the money you've been given will be allocated with this next round of funding if the recommendations that staff makes is approved by the CPUC.
Current appropriations, correct.
Okay, yes, thank you.
Thank you, Assemblymember. Any other questions for Ms. Ellis? Do I have any online? All right, thank you so much for the great update. We're going to go ahead and move to public comment. So Ms. Alvarado, if you go ahead and please provide the guidelines and begin the public comment process. Your mic is still not working back there. Apologies.
In order to ensure everyone who wishes to make public comment has the opportunity to do so, we respectfully request one person per entity and 2 minutes per person. The order of public comment will be online public comment submissions prior to meeting, Zoom hands raised, and phone hands raised via *9. We have received one emailed comment submission prior to our meeting. I will read it now. Organization, Orland Unit Water Users Association, general questions about MMBI. Per the mapping app, fiber appears to be just east of the city of Orland. Are there plans to continue the fiber, dark fiber preferred, west and into the city, similar to the fiber connecting the city of Willows? If yes, what is the expected project schedule? Thank you. Now we will move to public comments in the room and then via Zoom. Those who would like to provide public comment in the room, please come to the podium. Seeing no one, we will circle back to Zoom. First hand. Please unmute your mic.
Patrick Messick.
Good morning, council members and state partners. My name is Patrick Messick, and I serve as the director for Oakland Undivided, a collective impact initiative working to close Oakland's digital divide for good. I want to begin by thanking CDT and Caltrans for their solutions-oriented partnership with our community. Your teams have been incredibly responsive, and the progress we've made together on Oakland's FFA Last Mile project to deliver free, reliable, high-speed internet to thousands of families in our highest poverty communities simply would not be possible without your dedication to the promise of SB 156. A special thanks to Mackenzie, Greg, Muthana, Robert, Mark, Shannon, and Sam, just to name a few. Oakland's experience underscores why California's public interest approach to middle mile is so vital. We've seen firsthand how private carriers make decisions based solely on profit, not people, and which communities get left behind when affordability isn't part of the equation. The state's leadership is rewriting that story, and we hope that the partnership in Oakland and with FFA projects across the state serve as a model for the approach CDT and the third-party administrator takes on all 8,000 miles. As we move from the vision phase to implementation, we look forward to codifying the partnership that's already taken root, getting agreements in place so these commitments are locked in for long-term impact. By keeping collaboration at the center and affordability as the North Star, California can prove that digital equity and fiscal responsibility can and must go hand in hand. On behalf of Oakland students and families, thank you for standing on business and for standing alongside the community. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment, Mr. Messick. Next comment. Seeing no comments, we'll go back around the room.
Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, we just saw that you just raised your hand. Is this Lindsay Skolinik?
Yes, this is me. Sorry. Yeah, I would love to make a comment on behalf of the California Alliance for Digital Equity, also known as CADE. Happy to dive in.
Yep, please proceed.
All right, great. Good morning, members of the committee. As I mentioned, my name is Lindsay Skolnick. I'm here representing CADE. We're pleased to hear of the progress made towards completing the state's middle mile network. As you know, CADE has been actively following this project since its inception, as we recognize that the network has the potential to fundamentally change the broadband landscape for the better in California. We're so grateful that CDT offers updates about the project both at these MMAC meetings as well as stakeholder meetings. And in the spirit of maintaining transparency about network updates, we now come to you all with a few requests, as we are eager to learn more about the MMBN's long-term sustainability and the existing operational plans that are in place. First, we echo the state legislature's calls for CDT to present the business plan for the Middle Mile Network, which was initially scheduled to be delivered at the start of the year. To ensure this project is viable for years to come, additional clarity and information regarding the estimated revenues and expenditures expected during full operation of the network is needed. Second, it is essential to receive additional information regarding the TPA and a separate operator for the network. We appreciate Assemblymember Berner's earlier questions about this, and we too would like to better understand the bifurcated roles. Lastly, we urge CDT to share any existing operational plans that will ensure the network is affordable and customers will be incentivized to tap into it. As we've mentioned before, if the middle mile pricing replicates the private market, millions will still be left offline, priced out by the status quo. We appreciate your consideration of our requests. The more information we have about these critical operational decisions, the more confident we will all be in the success of the MMBN, and CADE is eager to see this project be a resounding historic success. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your comment. See no other comments. Madam Chair, this concludes public comment.
Thank you very much. There we go. Thank you, everyone that has, the presenters, the members who have participated today. I'd always, before I close, I just want to give all members an opportunity, one last final, if there's any comments or statements that you want to make about today's MMAC, happy to call on you. I see none. Okay. It sounds like in January, as we look at our next MMAC, we will be bringing back, especially since in 2026, we will be looking at operationalizing several segments. So it looks like we will be bringing back both the TPA relationship and more about the operator based on public comments. So we look forward to doing that. So our next meeting is Friday, January 16th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. With that, I'd like to adjourn today's meeting. Happy holidays to everyone, since the next time I will see you will be 2026. Thank you.